We are live for total global disruption. Disruption is a conscious decision to activate polarity, provoke thought, and awaken dormant desire. Welcome to EnJen to H.E.A.R.T, starting now. Polarity is the intentional creation of contrast, tension, or energetic distinction. So it invites resonance, it fosters clarity, and catalyzes alignment. So it's the magnetic edge where something becomes visible. It's the space, this sacred space where your client or someone that you're speaking to is able to say, yes, this is for me, or no, this isn't my path. Because the most beautiful gift that we can give and the most sacred way that we can serve is to lead people to a decision, even if it's not you. So why would you want to create polarity? Well, you want to create clarity. And that's exactly what polarity does. Why you want to create polarity when you're attracting the wrong people, when your message feels safe but not magnetic. Maybe you have a strong stance, but you're muting it to be liked, right? So intentional polarity isn't about pushing people away, but it is about calling the right people in. To create polarity without alienation, when to use it is when you're doing a pivot point or a rebrand, when you want to build trust really fastly. So if you're having a special masterclass, mastermind, summit, boot camp, any of those types of things is when you want to use polarity to build that like trust factor, right? So the result of polarity that's done well is a tribe that feels seen and not sold to. You have a sharper brand differentiation. You have loyalty, referrals, and word of mouth growth and emotional ownership from your community. They will go to bat for you. They will defend you. Polarity done well is what your branding, good branding, is all about. It's what is said about you when you leave the room. And that is a tribe that stands up for you and with you. Okay. And then to build polarity, we begin with self-disruption, right? So what have you been tolerating that no longer fits your truth? Identify that middle ground, the things that you've outgrown. Clarify yourself. What am I willing to be misunderstood for? That is like such an important question. What am I willing to be misunderstood for? Okay. And then without alienation to your business and your brand, you're going to define your non-negotiables. You're going to use language and visuals that are visible and clear. You're going to create soul filters in your brand. So statements, aesthetics, behaviors that filter in your people and filter out misalignment automatically. And an example of that would be like, we don't do in urgency tactics here. We do clarity and timing. So anything that has to do with urgency, it's out. That is a non-negotiable for you and being. Okay. And then to integrate it into your teams and your culture, you bring the teams, of course, into the process. What values are we quietly hiding? You build in dissent and divergent thinking, and you allow people to opt out with dignity or in with devotion, right? And people can come in and they can go out. Not everything is meant for always. And somebody might be very good at something one time, one day, 1 week, 1 month, and then not be all in it, not all heart. And so that's not the same position that they might need at another time. Okay. Remember, disruption without compassion is violence, and polarity without purpose is performance. But polarity with presence, that's true power. Hello, everybody, and welcome to UNBN. Well, not UNBN. Welcome to EnJen to H.E.A.R.T, and I am Jen Lynn. and I have founded EnJen. And I am so very excited to have you all here today. And so we're talking about disruption. We're talking about doing disruption in different ways through our brand, through our presence. And so we've defined what disruption is, we've defined what polarity is, and then we're going to be talking about a few other things like how to create communities that become movements, how to market from resonance instead of reach, and also how to shift from paying for quality to paying for quality and not visibility. And there's a few things underneath all of these things that we're going to be talking about. And then we're going to end with some accessibility, like how accessible are you and how can we make that better? So I'm also just letting you know, if you are out there watching me today, I cannot or do not see anything just as of yet. So if you're also joining on the replay, because I forget to say this a lot, welcome in. Thank you for coming back on the replay. Leave a comment so I can come back and talk to you, so we can conversate, right? Leave your questions, your comments. Hi, Sharon. All right, somebody is in, and so that's wonderful. So excited about that. It is supposed to be showing. Oh, it is. Okay, so comments are on the screen, guys. Isn't that great? And so that's just going to be running along over there. It's really, really super small, but I will do my best to be able to see what they are. Of course, I have them to the side too. So anyway, I was rushing in here, and you guys can always tell when I do that because I start and just talking 90 miles an hour. So happy Friday, right? Happy Friday. Is Friday something you all look forward to? Do you look forward to Friday? Is it like, oh, it's Friday, it's the end of the week? Is it matter that it's Friday? Is the weekend any different for you than it is during the week? Like, I want to hear from you guys. For me, the weekends are sacred in the sense that they're for family. And so it doesn't mean that I'm not working, because I'm always working. But I do not usually get on social that, which I don't get on social that much anyways, but I definitely don't get on the weekends typically. And as the weekends are when, I get to go see my son sometimes and the grandbabies, and just get to spend time with my wife, and we go to the movies, and we go to concerts, of course, and those kinds of things. So what do you guys do on the weekends? All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is building communities that become movements. Community is built on connection, and a movement is born when that connection has direction. And so I want to say that again because this is so important. A movement is born when the connection that you have built in a community has direction. So when a community gathers and there's direction, in other words, when your community knows what to do, when to do it, where to do it, how to do it, they mobilize and they move into action. Right? And that's a movement. If you have community that's there, and you have community that want to be present, say they want to be present, ask how they can help you, and then kind of seem to fizzle out, it's because they don't have real direction. So, right. So as communities your community leader, you are giving direction in our communities, just like a team or anywhere else. It serves us very well in the community to recognize what everybody's strengths and weaknesses are. Where is it that people want to be involved? And then guide that, give people entrance points into and through the community to be able to do support you, right? And create that movement. So, first, you want to start with some shared values. Right. It cannot just be shared interests. So shared interests are something that's really great at the very beginning of a conversation. It's a great icebreaker when you're very first, making a connection. It can be about shared interests, but communities form around what people like. Okay. Communities form around what people like. And then movements form around what people are willing to act on. So, for example, a group about storytelling equals community. A coalition to disrupt toxic narratives in storytelling, that's a movement, right? Does that make sense? So we create mythos, and a myth, not just a message. So movements need a shared identity and a shared enemy. And it's not a person, but it's something that's outdated, right? An outdated idea. In my community, it's about outdated systems, outdated ideas, right? And that's why I said enemy, because there's not really an enemy in the sense that it's something that we want to go to war with within ourselves and or with other people. It's just we are creating something that's different together as a community, right? Okay. So movements that do that tell stories that reinforce, this is who we are and this is what we stand for. Right? So when you have that together with action, you've got yourself a movement. Woohoo, right? Because who doesn't want that kind of support? Design everything that you do within your community for easy action. So invite participation, not just passive consumption. Use rituals, patterns, symbols, micro challenges, things like that. You can ask questions like, what is the smallest possible action someone could take today to move this vision forward? Right, it's one of my favorite questions to ask myself every single day. What is the smallest possible action that I can take to move this vision forward, to move my vision forward? And when you have people that have voiced that they want to help you do that, and you ask them that, they then will also know and be ready to take some kind of action. Okay. We also shift from audience to agency. So what that means is spotlight their stories. Spotlight your members, your supporters, your groups' stories, right? Not just your leadership, but their stories. Like some of you may have seen, I do midweek marvels or just a spotlight marvel. And most of the time when I do that is someone that doesn't even know me. And I go out looking, right? I go out looking for action. I go out looking for a movement that I can wrap around and that I can see people are wrapped around, and or that a leader is wrapped around it and is looking for their people. Then I share that so that they can have that movement. So movements scale when people feel like they are carrying the torch, not just following a fire. Does that make sense? Right? They have their own torch. They have their own abilities. They have their own skills. They have their own things that they want to bring to the table. And so when we allow that to happen within community, it is a beautiful thing, because that kind of a community will just blossom and grow. Build an ecosystem, not a funnel, right? So you're not trying to convert, you're trying to converge. Offer paths for participation at every level of readiness. So as soon as someone comes in, right? And it's not just saying, hey, make a short post, introduce yourself to everybody. That's not always enough. Maybe it's you coming on, right? I've done this before. Come on and introduce everybody, and you yourself tell just a little tiny thing about them, something that you've learned about them as they entered into your community. And then they don't, if they're shy, that works. If they're neurodiverse, that works. And it just takes the pressure off of them having to do that. If they're wanting to learn what it is that you have, make things accessible, right? PDFs, guides, videos, little trainings, things like that, that not only can they use to really educate and get wrapped around what your vision is, but they can also use that to show other people what the vision is, right? And the other part is, let the movement be porous and evolving and shaped by the people that are within it. So be open to hear what it is that your community has to say, and take their ideas in, and then utilize them and give gratitude to the community, right? So like a lot of times, before you have a team, or before you have a lot of employees, what you do have is an ethos system of people that support you. Like, they've chosen to be in your community. And when you have employees and a team later on, they have also chosen to be in your community. But this is, in a lot of ways, training for that moment, right? Because everything about what we do for our business, everything about it, from the time of inception, the thought, the everything thereafter, it is a sentient being, and every single part of it has needs, right? So a community is the heart. Your community is the heart of your business. Spend time with the community, right? And this doesn't have to always be around reciprocity. Just about presence, recognition, uplifting one another, sharing things around. So your brand becomes a living culture when you do this. You have a living, breathing extension and a culture of people that are wrapped around the vision, believe in the vision, show up for the vision, share the vision, talk about the vision, right? They lift it, they move it in all the ways that they can. So your community members become ambassadors and architects of what it is that looks like. And your presence expands beyond you, and it becomes a shared heartbeat. How many of you out there want that? How many of you out there are trying to have that kind of community, and or do you have that kind of community? Because I know who my listeners are, right? We do that for one another. We very much do have that type of community. And it's not just because we're heart-based. And if your community is heart-based, heart-centered, human-centric, future-forward, disruptors, neurodiverse, all of those labels, right? If that's your community, that's not enough. That's not enough. You have to show up and you have to be the leader in your community, right? So for a recap, we are inviting participation. We are shifting from audience to agency. So we're spotlighting our people's stories. We're spotlighting their leadership. We are making sure that there is direction for them to be able to be active. And we are then therefore creating a living culture, ambassadors, and then your presence becomes a shared heartbeat. Okay. It's a beautiful place to be. Community is just as important, if not as important or more important than family. But don't tell my family I said that. No. All right. No. So, okay. Next, I want to talk about marketing from resonance instead of reach. So, resonance-based marketing is the act of creating messages and experiences and offerings that deeply vibrate with the inner truth of your audience so much that they don't just notice you, they feel seen, right? So resonance whispers and it still gets heard. And ultimately that starts with it coming forward from you being that deep vibration. Why shift from reach to resonance? Is because when we reach focuses on how many people see you, and resonance focuses on who actually connects. Okay. Reach measures impressions, and resonance creates devotion, decisions, and deep, deep alignment. So resonance isn't about going viral. It's about becoming vital. It's about being the vital heartbeat of your vision and being able to extend that outward. This week, I had on LinkedIn, right? I'm strumming along. I go on my page and I see a metric on the side, impressions, 29,000. Whoa, what? Right? Like, I'm like, what? Because the most that it's ever been over there. And there are important metrics are important. They can be, but it's never about trying to have so much reach that people are pushed into or bullied into some kind of a decision. And a bunch of reach, a lot of reach out here with nothing happening, that is nothing, right? So I have 30,000 impressions and then I have 300 page views. So that means they saw my things, right? They saw me in their feed and they came and they look at my page. 1%. 1%. And this is the reason I'm telling you this, is that is above average. That's above average. So there are some things that we can do slightly different. Let's talk about the resonance again, right? How do you market from resonance? Well, what do you stand for? Know your frequency. What do you stand for, even if it risks misunderstanding, right? Even if someone understands you, what are you willing to risk misunderstanding for? Speak with the language that your people would finish for you. This is the thing, though. We're not creating from a place of knowing or thinking that if I say this way, they are going to finish the sentence for me. We're creating from a place that leans in to reciprocity, that leans in to the importance that it is for you, that it is for your vision, that it is for your business, that it is for whatever it is that you have, and making it so much be an extension of you that it draws in other people that are also an extension, and that resonance is going to be there because it has been built from a place of deep understanding. And I will risk being misunderstood for this every single time. You don't need to know how your client's going to finish the sentence. You just need to know the solution. And then you just need to keep showing up and sharing what that solution is. And they will come. And when they're ready, they will reach out to you and they will say, I have the problem that you have the solution for. Can we work together? How would you like to work together? Right? Don't chase trends. Don't try to figure out what it is that your client is going to say. Know what it is that you would say. Why are you creating what it is that you're creating? When we pinpoint something all the way down using psychology, neurobiology, neuropsychology, when we use all of that information and put it in a place, will people resonate with that? Yes, they will. Yes, they will. But it's really actually all a manipulation because you have set everything up perfectly so that they will, right? When we know that most of the time, if we think about food, we're going to use green, right? Green is the color of food. It's fresh salad, it's fresh grass, it's the trees, it's nature, it's natural. So we're going to use green. And then we know that vanilla makes this reaction within the body and it makes them lean even more. So we're going to use vanilla. You see what I'm saying? That's manipulation. When we use all of that knowledge in that way, it's a manipulation that we're using against our people so that they make a decision out of reaction and not resonance. Drop the buzzwords. Speak to the moment before your transformation. Speak to the moment before their transformation, right? Like, I know what it feels like to almost give up. But I didn't. I know what it's like to keep putting your message out there and it feeling like it's not getting anywhere. It feeling like the people aren't coming. It feeling like you have put out and put out and put out and where are they? This is just isn't working. I need this to be more than what it is. I need it to hurry up already. I need all of this to work. Right? Showing up and being yourself and being authentic and just talking about what it is that you're doing and who you are is so much more impactful. Invite and don't interrupt. Right? So maybe your content can feel like a conversation, an invitation. Just practice that. Not a pitch, just a conversation and an invitation. Or we can offer value that is so aligned that it feels like a mirror and not a megaphone. And we all know I love megaphone. I am a megaphone, right? I love that. But I'm also a mirror. And that's why people step in. So when we can be that mirror, when we can be relatable, that's resonance, right? Know what your metrics are, but don't let it be something that's taken over your head, right? So we don't ask yourself constantly, well, how many people saw that? How many people saw it? How many people stayed? How many people shared? How many people shifted? Shifted and shared. Those are some good metrics to know. And really at the same time, if you are constantly pivoting off of that, then you're just being confusing, consistently confusing, because people are watching, people are listening, and people are also busy, right? Especially like here in LinkedIn world, we're all busy. We're all business owners. We listen, but we don't have the time to type something in, right? We may love what it is that you're doing, but I may not need your services. That doesn't mean that I won't love and support you, right? To find that person, your message, all you simply have to do is it's a gift. So when you let it out, you just let it go. So resonance and something you can recognize when somebody else is coming from a place of resonance is this, right? Like share an unpopular truth. If you're sharing your unpopular truth and you're sharing it consistently, because let's face it, we all came into entrepreneurism, especially because we were like, no, this is not working for me. And so I want to change that. And so when we do that and we disrupt, we are walking against the grain. We are doing something different than people have, than others are doing. So there's always going to be resistance there. Keep doing it anyway. Keep creating that soul filtered message, because it's not for everyone. It's only for the ones that get it. It's only for the ones that get it, right? Only the ones that get it are going to pick it up and move it and pick up your vision and make it into a movement like we were talking about earlier, right? So just let every detail carry your frequency. So in your brand, right? That's everything. It is the topography, it's the color, it's the rhythm, it's the pace, it's the silence. It's falling in love with the curves of the letter L just as much as you might with the hood of a nice, sweet sports car that's got a hum underneath it, right? So does that topography do that for you, the topography that you chose? Or did you choose that for what you think that you understand about your client? Because if you're not in love with your brand, if you're not in love with all the things that are how you're expressing your brand and your business, that's not resonance. Okay. Welcome in, Jeff and Nicole and Leslie. So great to see you guys. So good to see you on this beautiful Friday afternoon. So one thing I was asking earlier, what do you guys do on the weekend? What is your weekend about, right? Is it a TGIF every Friday because you have big plans for the weekend? Is it the same for you as any other day? How do your weekends differ? Let me know. I'd love to hear from you on that. So I have another idea, right, that goes with paying for quality, not visibility. Paying for visibility does just that. It gets you visibility. It does not get you resonance. It does not bring people into a community. It does not create community movement. Visibility is just visibility. Paying for quality means that you invest in what makes your brand magnetic and meaningful, not just seen. It's the difference between renting attention and earning that devotion through resonance. Visibility fades, quality compounds. This is why it matters. Visibility is an ego metric, but quality is a legacy move. Are you building a legacy? Are you building an empire? Are you building generational wealth? Are you building something that you're going to be able to support other people in the world? Are you building something because you want to be able to make new structures? Are you building something because you want to help put your effort and your genius and your self into building different systems that serve those around you? That's legacy. That's a legacy move. Quality is a legacy move. So one unforgettable experience might get you 10,000 forgettable scrolls. But people do remember how you made them feel, not how often you appear, right? So what do I mean about quality and a resonance-driven brand? So a branded cinematic intro that gives you chills, copy that feels like it was written for the soul, system, processes, or offers that change how someone sees themselves, an experience that feels like a gift and not a grab, right? Because we've been conditioned to pay for visibility instead. We're told, get more eyes on it before we get more depth. Add platforms, reward quantity over integrity. Vanity metrics are easier to report than human impact. But here is the secret. People don't share what they saw. They share what shifted them. Literally, the shift that your words created within them enters into their body as energy, and it becomes energy in motion as an emotion, and that gives them intrinsic motivation or motivation to move their hands, move their arms, click that mouse, do whatever it is to share the thing, to send you a message, to say hello, that I'm so resonating with you. I want to have a coffee chat, right? Like that happens with resonance and quality and legacy moves, right? So signs that you're ready to shift. You're tired of likes that don't convert. Your brand is growing, but it feels shallow. You know that you're brilliant, but your assets aren't catching up. All right. You want your presence to feel like a reverent encounter. So if it's not visibility, right, what is it? If it's not visibility, what is it? What do you pay? What do you invest in instead? So we talked to Leslie says, is it manipulation or is it influence? And we talked a little bit about that earlier. Like when we are doing everything because we know scientifically or psychologically or emotionally, right? When we're using all of that information to set up something, I do believe it's a manipulation and it's influence. I think it's both. So when we create, though, from resonance and for resonance, we are creating the pieces and the parts of our businesses or our brands, our offers, as an extension of ourselves, right? So we're not building it as an extension of other people. We're building it as an extension of ourselves. So what do we invest in instead of ads? Systems that are going to evolve with you, for one. Your branding systems have to be dead on. They have to be point blank, 100%, everything that you want to say. Not for it to be heard, but for it to be felt. And for it to be felt, it has to be an extension of you. And that's why I say that everything that we're taught is backwards. Everything that we're taught is backwards. People fall in love with people. Every single one of you, every single person in my community is a person that I love and adore. I fall in love and fell in love with you. And then I love the extension of you. That is your business. That is your product. That is your service. That is your gift to the world. But first, I fall in love with you. People don't invest in themselves. We invest in each other. Okay. So, custom content, right? So if you're going to be putting out video content, make it the best video content that it can be. If you're going to be writing posts and stuff a lot, get copywriters, somebody who gets to the soul of you and your brand, not just your strategy, right? So a ghostwriter, designs that match the depth, create embodied experiences with the events, the containers, summits, right? That you can transform and not just inform. When everything that you put out is a high quality, it's the best quality that it can be for where you are, you will see shifts with that as you shift. As the quality of what you do becomes different, the experience that people have and the experience that you have with them also becomes different, right? We are visual more than we are anything else, as a general rule. And it's something that sadly has become lost, is quality of what it is that we're creating. So my final thought on that is that visibility without value is vanity. Quality without compromise, though, is currency. Okay. And the last thing that I want to talk about today is accessibility. So accessibility is the act of removing friction between your brilliance and those who need it the most. It's not just about compliance, it's about care. It's not charity, it's designing for dignity. The reason that it's radical is because in the world that we live in, it gates value behind complexity, gates it behind price walls and algorithms and exclusivity. Simplicity is sacred, and inclusion right now in this world is revolutionary. Accessibility says you belong here, not because you can afford it or decode it or hustle for it, but because you are another human that has a need, a fundamental need, right? So, why make accessibility a core strategy? It builds trust faster than any ad ever could. Right? Expands your impact without diluting your essence. And it calls in voices and buyers and brilliance that you didn't even know you were missing. Right? How many times have you had somebody come into your community and have a skill, have an insight, have something that you didn't even know that you needed? Right? It happens because we're humans, we're people. That's kind of the way it works, right? So accessibility can reshape business culture from transaction to transformation, which I know that we all say is what we want, and it is what we want. And then we fall into strategies that are opposite of what it is that we say that we want. And that is why we do not experience what it is that we want to the degree that we could, because they're out of alignment. There is not resonance when we are using systems that are not built for our resonance. Right? Making sense? Am I talking to you? Are you guys hearing me today? I think you are. I think you are. So beyond the basics, what accessibility can look like is that, right, like there's alt text that isn't just a description, but an invitation, captioning that includes tones, not just words, right? So pricing that honors both sustainability and entry points. And I want to go back to the captioning that includes tone, not just words. So when we create an image, when we do it on our websites and other places, it will ask us, and even here on YouTube, right? It will ask you for a description of the image. And we usually give a description of the colors, maybe the people, maybe where they're at. But we can take that further. We can take that further. So the people that actually need that captioning feel and experience the world through words. So if we can explain not just the sight of what's happening, but what is the sound of what's happening in your image? What's the smell of your image? Is your image of flowers? Then it smells, it has an aroma. Put that in there. What would it taste like if you put it in your mouth? Right? Everything get comfortable with and practice being synesthetic, which means that you do recognize that if you can see it, you can also hear it, you can also taste it, you can also smell it, you can also feel it. And when we can put that as a description in the words of the images that we are putting out into the public for that person, that means everything to them, because that's how they experience the world. So when you do that for them, it's beyond being seen and heard. That is resonance. That is something that hits you right in the heart, right in the heart, because that's exactly where it came from. Right? Okay. Make it easy for people to navigate your community, your website, your page, whatever it is, your landing page, like all of those things. Make it so easy. It should be so easy to go through. Take out the hoops that you're having your people jump through and replace that with with you, with the human touch, right? And creating space for neurodivergence, for pacing, for silence, for flexibility, and transparent systems, right? So, how to participate, where to go to participate, what does that participation look like, and what can they expect from that, right? We have to be caring and aware that we separate things, right? So when it's digital, it's a separation. When somebody comes into your page or onto your group, it should be no different than them coming into a physical structure, whether that be a cafe because you're joining them to eat, whether that be your home, whether that be an office. It can feel like that. There's this false narrative that the real estate that you have, right, like on your page, your banners, and things like that, are only to communicate data. And that is not true. That is not true. When it is only communicating data, imagine walking into a still building. It's an office building, but it's made of steel. And there's bright lights, and that's it. Everything's metal, everything's gray, everything's bright. There's no plants, no life, nothing that's warm, nothing that invites conversation. It is the same when we go onto each other's digital spaces. What does your digital space feel like? Is it just data? Is it null and void of any personality? Because it just has your name, your title, right? There is space enough, and you can do it clearly to make your space be warm and make your space be human digitally. That's how we integrate the digital world and the real world. Okay. So when we talk about accessibility, making things feel warm, making things feel resonant, creating movements, that dismantles the stage. And it builds a circle instead. When you remove the data and you put in your heart, when you put in the world, when you put in a freaking plant on your damn banner, that is dismantling the stage that is social media. And then you begin to build a circle that amplifies your signal. Making yourself more accessible means creating from a place of value. And it makes you unforgettable to those that matter the most. When we talked about how do you create a movement, you create connection. And a movement is born when that connection has direction. Then a community will gather, a movement will mobilize. So bring yourself into what it is that you're doing. Everything that you're doing on social media. When somebody comes and walks into your home and or real office one day, do you want them to be wowed because the consistency is the same? Right? Because inconsistency causes confusion. And so when those things differ, when they're not in congruence, that sets off people's central nervous system. Okay? There are so many things about what it is that we do that if it's not in alignment, it will do that. I get asked all the time if it's about consistency, how is it that I get away doing what I do when everything is different every single day, right? People ask my wife, "Oh, I bet you have lots of fun not knowing who your wife is when you go home every day. She's a different person every day." I'm not. And that's why I can, quote unquote, get away with it. It's why I can disrupt and go against the flow, because I'm consistent in my inconsistency. Because every single day I am authentically me. Right? And so I see you. I hear you all out there wanting to have the best experience that you can and to serve the world in the most impactful way that you can. We put so much strategy into what it is that we're doing, and that's not wrong. But there is a dance. Put yourself into it. Put yourself into the dance. That is how you move. It's how you communicate. It's how you show up. It's how you ask. It's how you receive, how you gift. Is your heart a cold metal building? I know that it's not. Right? In your home, there's plants, there's music, there's art, there's life. Bring that. And bring that. So I'm going to try to share a song today that someone wrote for me. And it's too big, right, just to put in as my intro. But I want to pull it up and play it. And I'm going to play it as my outro, though. So when it ends, I will end the broadcast. But I'm going to ask you all just to give me a moment while I find that. And then I'm going to do a screen share. And we will listen to it together. Let me get here. Thank you all for coming and spending your Friday evening with me. And I will play this. This was written by Sharon Byrne, and it is called shit, Sharon, I went to say it out loud. I forgot the name of the song. The Way We See. Okay. Thank you all so much for your presence. I love you all so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful week and weekend, and I will see you all back here next week. I'm going to share the screen.
When I look at you, I see an angel on earth. You move through this world with grace and deep worth. A smile on your face, but strength in your stride. Fighting battles in silence, with dignity and pride. You speak the truth most try to ignore. You open up hearts and then help them soar. You're a lighthouse for those lost at sea, guiding them home just by letting them be. You saw the soul I used to hide, held up the mirror, stood by my side. You made space for all of me to be, and now I see you just as clearly. It's more than love, it's deeper than deep. Truth without judgment, wild and free. You changed my life just by seeing me. Now I honor you in the way we see. You're funny, you're brilliant, your spirit runs wide, creating in ways that can't be denied. From hand-sketched dreams to a digital scene, you breathe art and soul into everything in between. You love with no strings, you rise with such grace, helping others find courage just by holding space. You're more than a friend, you're my chosen kin, and the gift of your presence lives under my skin. You saw the soul I used to hide, held up the mirror, stood by my side. You made space for all of me to be, and now I see you just as clearly. It's more than love, it's deeper than deep. Truth without judgment, wild and free. You changed my life just by seeing me. Now I honor you in the way we see. They said I was too much, too sensitive, too loud, too strong, but you showed me I've been right all along. You didn't flinch, you didn't flee. You met every part of me and let me be. You saw the soul I used to hide, held up the mirror, stood by my side. You made space for all of me to be, and now I see you just as clearly. It's more than love, it's deeper than deep. Truth without judgment, wild and free. You changed my life just by seeing me. Now I honor you in the way we see. The way we see, that's where you'll find me. That's where you'll find me.
So my hope for each and every single one of you is that's what you're hearing from the people in your life. Letters, poetry, songs. That's resonance. Love you all.